I've been given permission to intro the episode, so I think I'm going to do that now. Hello, everybody. This is the newest episode of Real to Real. My name is Wilson.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Eric.
That's the three of us. And this week we are covering the 10th Kingdom. Not
Not the first,
the first.
not the second.
Not even the fifth.
Not
No.
not a lot of the iterations. It's the 10th. The 10th
The
Kingdom.
double digits.
This is a little bit unique for the things that we've done before because this is not a movie per se. This was a TV miniseries that was aired on NBC back in 2000. And I watched it back in the day with my family just because, this was, I think, in the heyday of the like Thursday night primetime block where they had like Friends and all kinds of other shows. And then the advertisements came out. I'm like, hey, this looks like fun. We'll watch it as a family. Pretty fun time. It's got a really good cast. A lot of really great English actors that I kind of like, after watching this, have seen them in other stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize them from the 10th Kingdom. But you got John Larroquette, there's Warwick Davis, Ed O'Neill.
Hey, Al Bundy.
I'm not familiar with the name of the actress who plays the main character in this. You'll recognize her instantly. Same thing with Scott Cohen, I think his name is. He's the another character in this who was like one of Lorelai's boyfriends on Gilmore Girls, and
That's the only name I remember from that show.
Lorelai.
Lorelai.
Yeah. Well, because her mother's always Lorelai. I was exposed to that show a lot with two other females living in my household. But yeah, this movie is sort of,
It's a fractured fairy tale.
yeah, it's if you've ever been familiar with Once Upon a Time or Fables, the comic book, it's very similar where it's a merging of European folktale and fairy tales with our world. And it's not so much like the fairy tales or the characters coming to our world, it's real people going into their world. So it's an exploration of different stories and themes that work within those that kind of help to influence what happens in this series. And it's kind of batshit when you think about it, like that the main plot of this series is like Fallout from Snow White, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you go back and think about it. Not the plot, but just the premise itself. It's kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I just like how detailed everything is. There's a lot of really good stuff with the set design and the costuming and makeup and just like so much detail where there's a lot of puns where like you'll see a shop that's like the Three Blind Mice eyeglasses or something like that. Like,
Cool.
yeah, keep your eyes open for a lot of
hidden Easter egg things.
yeah, Easter eggs and like little
Like-
in jokes and
Like
stuff.
Bo Peep or something.
There's an entire episode that takes place in like the town of like where Little Bo Peep is, and there's all kinds of stuff,
Cool. It's like the Brothers Grimm style stuff too.
but not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you meant the fairy tales, not the shitty movie.
Exactly. I meant not shitty like the shitty movie. Yes, from the fairy tales, inspired from the fairy tales.
Mm-hmm.
It really does go all over the place. Like you have Snow White, you have Little Red Riding Hood. Like they're pretty much any of those like big European fairy tale characters you can think of. They have some sort of representation here, or at least a reference or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of fun. Like there's magic, there's some fun effects. There's a talking dog kind of a thing. And
What?
Yeah, the dog's the shit.
Yeah,
What's the dog's name?
Wendell.
Wendell? That's such a cute name.
He's a prince.
I have a great uncle named Wendell.
Is your
Sweet
uncle?
old
Is your
man.
great uncle a prince?
No.
Then he's not as good as this dog.
No.
The dog.
He's good in his own.
The dog inherits an entire kingdom.
Oh, that's amazing.
You'll see. I don't want to like get into the story because we're gonna start watching it in a second here. You'll find out anyways. But I also don't want to spoil it for anybody at home who might be interested. We're watching this on Amazon, so if you want to check it out for yourself, I think it was like
Amazing.
$7 for the season. So
What do you think? Where do you think they got this concept from? Was this derived from another source?
I have no idea. I don't know if this was like I doubt that it was from another source because when did Fables start publishing?
2004.
Okay, so this was even before Fables,
Yes.
so that might have helped inspire that. I don't know. Can't say. Can't really.
2004.
Might,
Maybe later.
might be a little piece of trivia that we just don't know about. But
Maybe 2007.
I don't know if this was like a thing where it was just, boardroom brainstorming and somebody said something about like, well, what about fairy tales? Or I don't know what the impetus of like this whole idea, where it came from. It really was kind of like out of left field where there was no big buzz about like a production of a fairy tale kind of thing, even miniseries or movie or anything. And then the advertisements just started coming out, and then it aired, and then everybody seemed to forget about it.
So we'll find out what the 10th Kingdom means.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a cheeky little play on like the whole idea of our world mixing with theirs, and
Okay.
yeah, it's a very like when I suggested watching it to these guys, I said that it was something that was going to be extremely palatable because like the past few ones that we've watched have gotten some sort of an extreme reaction out of us, whether it be House, Speed Racer, Naked Lunch, even Mac and Me. Like those are all ones that we kind of just like it was a lot to take in.
Yeah, this one's just kind of like a palate cleanser from Mac and Me.
Yeah, like this is definitely like
This
you
will bring us back up.
take in as much as you want or just relax and watch it because either way you're gonna enjoy it.
Nice. So this was all self-contained. Like they didn't want to do a part 2? Or...
No, absolutely. There's been nothing since. There's been no like, you see it all the time these days. Where like, oh, this actor from this previous franchise said in an interview that they'd be interested in doing more. No, it's just like it happened, and then it completely left the zeitgeist. Like nobody. It's so rare that I ever meet anybody who's even seen this or even heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was surprised when Broadshow told me that he had gotten introduced to it, and that's kind of also why I picked it too, is because it's like it feels like it's not really that well known, and
Seems like people like it. They've rated it.
I enjoyed it.
It's up there.
It's got an 8.4 on IMDb. I did try and go back like I think 6 months ago or something. I tried to like find it somewhere to be able to watch it to see like who maybe has this in this day and age, and evidently it's Amazon. But it was like
You'd imagine it just being ripped onto YouTube or something.
somewhere, but no, there was like nothing on YouTube, not even clips.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's clips from everything on YouTube,
Yeah, I know. You can find some really obscure stuff on YouTube.
like the grape stomping lady, cat plays piano,
Yeah.
chocolate rain. Those are some obscure hits for any of you who
The
are new to the
Numa
YouTube.
Numa?
Oh, the Numa Numa. That's an old gem. If you want to dust that one off and browse your URL
The
over.
hamster dance.
Yeah.
The crazy frog.
Yeah. Speaking of frogs, they recently discovered a species that looks exactly like Kermit. Like they've got big eyes.
Big eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Sweet.
Kermit is real.
He is.
The Rainbow Connection finally came home. Paul Williams, I think is his name, wrote that song and a lot of the stuff for Muppet Movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Paul Williams was the musician back in the 60s, 70s, a little bit into the 80s, I think, where
So he did like the.
he was like a short... He appeared on Dexter's Laboratory, that one where like the guy comes over to teach him to play piano. That's Paul Williams.
Oh, crazy.
He was also in Baby Driver as the guy in the white suit at the like gun meet where they listen to Tequila.
I don't remember that movie.
Oh, well,
That was that recent
shame on you.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright one, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was around the time where.
You didn't care about movies. You were too good for movies.
No, I was just watching. I just started catching up on like old films that I haven't seen.
Mhm.
I go through phases where I want to watch some new ones, and then I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch some really old ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ham on just Japanese films, or I'm just gonna go crazy on just doing Kieslowski films, or
Mhm.
just other foreign films, German films, Icelandic films, Dutch films.
Yeah, there's...
I go through phases.
What my phase recently has been like, I've been playing too many video games. I want to just watch a movie.
I do
And,
that too. I
yeah.
get burnt out on a video game. I'm like,
Yep.
I just need to watch
I'm
something.
gonna just watch something. And then I go
did
back
that
and I
too.
catch up a little bit on like some more like recently I did that with the second Kingsman movie. I just never
Oh.
got around to seeing it anytime
I
that it
saw
was
it on
like
HBO.
around when it was out. Same here. I watched it on HBO. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thought it was creepy.
I thought like I must have watched it on a plane or something because all of those scenes with Poppy, I was like calling exactly what was happening and remembering what was happening. But I was like everything else in the movie, I was like I haven't seen this, but why do I know every like all the scenes with
Yeah,
For
speaking of Elton John,
Kingsman,
Oh yeah.
the Golden Circle?
is Elton John in this?
Elton John is not in this. I'm trying to think of
What
any.
big British pull do you think is in this that gets people to connect with it? Because like John Larroquette's like, oh wow, Night Court.
Yeah, right. Like John. I don't know. English wise.
Warwick Davis. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Who's the big draw?
There's
Is it the main girl?
no. There's no big main draw like English or American for like actors or a pedigree of acting that like is attached to this movie. There are like familiar faces and famous people in it, but I'd be hard placed to pick the big name, you know, like the big draw. I think that there is a cameo later on in the series, like really near the end, where I think maybe the person who plays Cinderella is a relatively legacy, like famous kind of actress, like from a dynasty of other actors and like not a Foster, but of that type where, you know, famous name and
Yeah.
famous person also because of their name.
So maybe that's why it didn't have that big of a connection with people because they're like, who am I gonna watch in this? Who do I really care about?
Yeah, and it was not. I don't know if it was like not right for the time or just people didn't care because it really was just like slapped in the middle of summer primetime TV and then it was gone.
Well, I say we jump into it.
Let's do it, dude.
I'm excited. I like this.
All right, we'll be right back after we watch a few.
Do, 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 do.
And now, our feature presentation.
Looking for a mirror. But it may not look like a mirror from the other side.
And why are you saying that?
As the Brothers Gibb told me to.
Brothers Gibb.
Brothers Gibb did a lot of things, I guess, or they were responsible for a lot of things.
So yeah, we just got done with the 10th Kingdom, the first episode,
part one.
Part one.
Part one.
It was longer than I expected. I thought it
Felt
was just
like
going
it.
to be like an hour, but it was like
Hour
a
and a
little hour and a
half.
half.
Hour 29 minutes is what
Hour half.
what each of those is clocked at on Amazon, and
It took its time to get going for the most part. Like it had to set the stage with all the characters that you're going to follow, and at the very end, we kind of now realize what the evil person's plan is.
well,
Yeah.
and we're even introduced to the evil person in the first place, like first 5 minutes of the show, and then yeah, we don't really learn like more about them until later on. But it definitely takes its time. But I really thought even when we were watching it too, like once they get to the Nine Kingdoms, and they like Tony's in the prison and then Virginia gets taken away, like once everybody kind of splits apart is really when the story starts to like spread and not even that, but like geographically where they kind of go, and it starts to travel, it starts to really go now. And
So yeah, so what we have is evil stepmom, body swaps a prince and a dog.
yep,
Dog prince.
Freaky Friday.
Yep.
yeah, like the prince is the leader of the Fourth Kingdom, I think,
Yep. He's an
Grandson-
heir to the White family. of
grandson
Snow White.
of Snow White, and it's his evil, like it's his stepmother
Yep.
through some family relation. She's basically like the apprentice of the evil stepmom in the original Snow White.
She took up
story.
her cause.
Yeah, she like
essentially.
learned from her and then like took up the mantle of this.
I will
like,
finish what she started.
I will end the House of White.
So Dog Prince jumps through Magic Mirror that I
Into-
referred to before.
New York. city.
The 10th kingdom.
What a strange montage
Yes.
or a scene that was, because it was
Headed
dog
straight at the Twin Towers.
flying through mirrors right at the Twin Towers.
Yeah, like it was just weird that we started like we saw that like in the background, and then we got closer and closer, and then we actually went like
Almost
right
into
at it. And if it would have
Like-
kept going, we would have gone into
I mean,
the.
there
freaking
must have
town.
been some helicopter or something that got that close to get that shot, or it was all done
Zoomed.
CG or zoomed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And then some trolls come.
Yeah, like the queen's being held in like this prison, and she gets broken out by the Troll King and
Played by Ed O'Neill,
Ed O'Neill. Yep.
aka Al Bundy,
Relish the Troll King.
aka the dad,
Modern Family.
the patriarch from Modern Family,
AKA Hutch,
aka the man.
the man.
Anyway,
Fair enough. And so like the Troll King's kids are in the prison too, and this wolf character, and they all kind of get broken out and
big bad wolf.
sent on this mission to find the dog, go through the mirror after him, and they all end up in New York. And
So yeah, why does the stepmom send the wolf, and then the Troll King send his kids?
there was two separate parties. Like one didn't know that the other was doing that.
So
Really?
one has an ulterior motive.
No.
Okay, so they're just like
They're just both after the dog
they're
boy.
just both just
Yeah,
whatever.
the queen was basically like, they were all in that room together, and the queen was basically like, "Get him, you fools!" And they're like, "No, we're gonna get
Let's
him."
all do it.
And then the wolf also, like, she found the wolf before she like sent the trolls off, so she just like wanted her own like agent in her pocket, not for the dog even, but like she just wanted to recruit somebody, I think,
Gotcha.
to get another person like working in her little.
Well, she thinks dogs and wolves kind of have that sense of smell.
Yeah,
and
you can track it. Yeah,
well, that was even before the dog ran away, is what I'm saying. Like,
but
she co-opted
Yeah.
the wolf like pretty immediately.
yeah, he
Or no, it was right after the dog.
and the
disappeared.
dog fucking rockets like a motherfucker into Virginia, our heroine.
who's
Yeah,
riding
right.
her bike
She's
and
riding her bike
In
at
Central
night.
Park at night.
on her way to work. She's a waitress and she's on her way to work, and she collides with the dog and then kind of feels bad about it, so she takes the dog with her. And since it's Prince Wendell in a dog's body, he's like trying to communicate by barking and giving her these signs of like, hey, like something's up. And the trolls track her down, and the wolf tracks down the dog. And
And she's got a shitty dad played by John Larroquette.
he's not a shitty dad.
He's a pretty shitty dad. At
Well,
least he's a
not
shitty person.
father. Yeah, like
He's at least a shitty person.
He is.
I would
it's
describe him-
understandable. He's understandably shitty.
He's like he's not a bad person. Where
He's
like
endearing.
unlikable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
not evil.
endearing.
He's not evil.
He's well
No.
meaning, but he's just like oafish, and he's
Yes.
just like down on his luck, kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't, I don't know.
He's just being that some kind of a relief from the straight character, which is Virginia.
Yeah.
She's like playing everything straight, and he's just kind of like maybe throwing a wrench in some of the shit.
Like
just
he
by-
doesn't really have his shit together, basically.
So like, and then the big bad wolf tracks down Virginia's house by way of where she works, which the trolls have already been there.
Yeah, they're tearing it up.
Yep.
And threw a bunch of pink troll dust on people, making
Yep.
them sleepy.
And the trolls end up getting tricked into an elevator that
Yep.
does not work,
Yeah.
and they're stuck in there.
That was like it was
It was set
foreshadowed
up
Yeah.
well.
at the beginning, where
Yeah.
he was just like everything was short circuiting on him.
I mean,
And then-
they do that pretty well, where they like they will set something up to happen later, where it's not just like out of nowhere Deus Ex Machina for like just so the story can happen. It's like
Yeah.
you at least see it, or the concept is like brought up.
Yep.
That's nice.
Just like
Big-
the little interactions with the neighbors being like, "Hey, you gotta fix my shit,"
Yep.
and then later on he's like, he gets the comeuppance upon them, and
Yeah.
says, like,
the
"Hey,
big
be
bad
a
wolf
slave."
gives him a magic bean.
Yeah,
He eats, and he has like 6 wishes.
yeah, and he just wastes them all.
Oh, so stupidly too.
But
he
it
had, like
does-
unending supply of beer
That just keeps
that just
overflowing.
keeps coming.
It turns like
s-
violent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like his boss and his whole who
Like the
just like
landlord or
fired him.
something. Yeah,
And,
landlord
okay,
slash boss.
how would you change his wishes to fit? Not like a new wish,
Yeah.
but like how would you get his wishes?
His wishes to work.
his wishes to work.
I would have for the beer.
For the beer, let's do
For the beer, I want a beer whenever I want one.
I wish I could summon a beer.
Like if I want a beer will be there.
Okay.
Yeah,
listen.
like it like same thing. Like
Okay.
I wish I could summon a beer. Like I wish I could, however you want to phrase it, but more of the message of like on my terms.
I would
Because
want
all he said was an endless supply, and if
a
you
magic
noticed,
a magic bottle that you just say what you want
And it
and then you
fills up.
drink. You just say whiskey.
The boss and his family as slaves and kiss his ass.
his entire family,
yeah,
the boss's
he's,
entire
his-
family.
he makes the mistake of saying his entire family first.
Yeah.
And the kiss his ass was taken literally. So
Where
they're all
like,
literally
scooting
trying to
around on
kiss
their
his
knees,
ass.
trying to kiss his butt.
So more descriptive language there.
yeah,
Yeah.
less colloquial.
Yeah, and to be a slaves, that's whatever, that works. The one that's definitely a waste is something to clean,
Because you have slaves already.
because you got slaves already,
And it
which
turn-
they were later cleaning.
And yeah, like a vacuum cleaner comes alive and is like frantically
a
like
sentient,
"I gotta
no,
clean,
a sentient vacuum cleaner is like,
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
do it.
it comes
Yeah.
alive and is just going.
And that's a
nuts.
vacuum cleaner. That can only clean the floor.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it
can't
starts
pick
sucking up
anything
curtains and shit.
Um,
And then
What's-
all that fucking, what was it? Oh, and then, because then it comes to a head and the cops show up.
yeah. This it almost.
Oh, he
seems,
wishes for $1 million.
Yep.
Yep.
That was another thing we
And
said.
it
Was
just
just
shows
like,
up in a satchel. in
just
front of
why
his
not
door.
just have like a magic wallet or something
Yep.
that whenever you need money, you open it and there's the money.
The exact changes. there.
Or
It's like,
I
how much
wish
you
I was
need.
the richest person in the world.
Yeah.
Because that's not like a certain amount that has to be subtracted for somewhere. That's just like a general idea.
Yeah. I wish I had all Bitcoin.
Because it seemed almost like a monkey's paw kind of situation. Because like
Yep.
he would make a wish and he would get it, but then it would also have an aspect to it of like, well, you didn't realize this part of it, you know. And like that's why the cops come, because
I guess for some reason he went.
the $1 million that he wished for was
Stolen.
from a bank, completely unrelated to him. That it just poofed,
happened.
like to in front of him.
Yeah.
So and I don't know how they would just like the cops would just like,
know.
Yeah,
They
that's
must
the
have
only
somehow
thing.
just
Like,
caught it on a video surveillance or something.
who knows? But the cops start coming after him, so he's in the car and he uses
Tries to
another
bribe
wish.
them first with
Yeah,
a wish.
With a wish, he's like, "I can get you anything you want." Blah blah blah. And they're like, "It's no good bribing us. We're cops. We're honest cops." And he gives him that little chuckle. He's like, and then
We're honest cops.
he uses a wish to like escape from the car, which was
Yeah, he
another
said,
wish.
"I
'cause
wish I could
escape from this police car right now."
Which it should have just been, "I wish this like legal trouble would just go away, or just would stop. I wish it would just back to normal, like something."
Because what happens to help him escape from the car is that the brakes stop working in the police car. So when they're driving through Central Park, as Virginia is trying to like bring the dog back to where she found it to help like try and return
They're
it.
basically going back to the Nine Kingdoms.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're like they have to meet up
That's
where
the-
that portal is.
That's where the line comes from. We're looking for a mirror. Except-
because as John Larroquette kind of gets away from the cops, he meets up with Virginia, and she's like, "This fucking dog, it's
And
weird."
this is the last one that's the one that hurts me the most is he just says, "I wish I could understand this dog."
yeah,
So
not
it's
like
just him.
yeah, just him. It's not. I wish we could understand this dog, or I wish this dog could speak English.
No, it's
It's
just,
just
I wish,
I could understand.
Yeah,
So
understand
now,
this
like
dog.
every time he has interactions where he has to prove that he can hear this dog, he just sounds like an
And he has to like
Psycho.
repeat everything.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like a telepathic communication kind of thing, where it's just like a shot of the dog and then a disembodied voice
Yeah.
of the prince. Yeah,
We're looking
and
for a mirror.
So the dog's like, I think it's this way. We're looking for a mirror, but it doesn't look like a mirror.
Yeah,
when he's
from
talking
the
about
other
like the
side.
portal
It's
to the
just-
other world.
Yeah, it's the portal that gets in
And,
It's one
that.
of the
uh,
magic mirrors.
So they go through, they end back up in the prison, and
Yep.
shenanigans ensue, and
He's in prison.
yeah, the dad gets left
The
in the prison,
dog's
in
in
the
the
queen
prison.
cell
Prince
with
dog.
the dog. Virginia, the
Nobody
daughter.
knows that Prince Dog though is
Prince.
No,
No,
because
just a dog.
yeah, because of the swap. And Virginia gets kidnapped by the trolls' kids.
Yep.
They take her off to the.
they
troll
give her
kingdom.
like a tramp stamp on her tummy.
that says
That's his troll toy.
Yeah, that was an. I didn't remember that, to be honest. Like that's a little weird.
a little.
Ed O'Neill's got some sweet fucking clogs.
In a movie with all, or like in a thing with all everything that this thing is, you gotta pick and choose what's weird and what's not, because
That no, I would say that
there's choices made.
in folklore and stuff like that, trolls don't go around tattooing people's bellies.
No.
They also
They also don't have golden clogs that look like Elvis would wear them, that make them invisible.
They have like sequins on them.
and they have like the
Pounds
although at least
on
the
the toe.
3 troll like kids, like they're not kids, they're grown-ups, but they're like the Troll King's children. They all have an obsession with shoes,
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
they just
the
like
thing was
appreciate
it's-
shoes a whole
sure.
lot.
I know that there was
Because he's got a lot of shoes in the thing too, and he was gonna use the metal shoes to make her dance like. they
there's a
did to the
folktale
queen.
about a cobbler that couldn't make shoes that had.
But those weren't trolls.
those weren't
though.
trolls. Those were
Those
like,
were just
the
little
elves.
tiny dudes.
Those
Yeah,
are
little
Or
elves.
elves or fairies or something like that. I think there's no correlation to anything like fairy tale or folklore wise. I think somebody made a character choice where they're like, let's make the trolls obsessed with shoes for some reason, and it
of
was
my-
probably only tied to the magic slippers. Like,
One of my favorite things, too, that you pointed out that, like in every big thing that had to have a map, so we kind of understood everything.
Everything
There's a
had a
place
map.
called Sausage Festival.
I've never
Yeah.
noticed that before. Yeah,
That was the best.
that
They
was
actually
really funny.
zoomed in on it at one point too, but it was in, because they have to show you where, like, oh, these are kingdoms.
Yeah,
But they,
these are
but they-
all-
we don't really get like too much actual clarification, like geography wise, like actually where everything is. They do kind of like show you a few different shots of this map, but we never see like a big enough sustained like picture of how everything fits together. But generally, yeah.
Right,
And it's
yeah.
cool because they have like the Fifth Kingdom will say like Red Riding Hood Forest, and like wolves are up here, and
Troll Kingdom.
yeah, and you could see like there was one that I saw
Cinderella.
that was the Great Snoring Castle or something. So that was probably Sleeping Beauty, I would guess.
Probably.
There's one that said lame too. I forgot what it said, but it was like Kingdom of Lame something.
Weird.
Interesting.
I mean, there's 9, so there's got to be a bunch of random
Right.
ones.
The all the characters kind of get split up a little bit. We spend some time with Tony having adventures in the prison, and we see Warwick Davis as Acorn the dwarf.
Yep. He's eating. They're all
Where they
eating
eat
green.
beanstalk soup.
Baked beanstalk.
Baked
and they
beanstalk.
drink bean juice
Beanstalk-
or
and
bean
bean-
root
beanstalk juice.
Bean root juice.
Because, like, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yep.
That'll come into play a little bit more too. The whole Jack and the Beanstalk part of it. Yeah, he's like making friends in the prison, like getting to know his cellmates and trying to get. He's like, the dog is being kept in the warden's offices basically,
And we
he's
meet-
like
we meet
communicating
the-
with him through the door, and
It's the classic serial storytelling thing, too, of we're ending with all our heroes split up.
Yep. And they're all gonna come together, but have their separate stories
Yep.
that kind of interact. And I mean, John Larroquette met up with the Goblin guy and Warwick. I
Yep.
think those are gonna be his traveling companions for the most
Yeah.
part. Somehow,
No.
okay.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just
Somehow they're gonna bust out of that prison. Mm-hmm. They're gonna get out and they're gonna do their own thing. Mm-hmm. And the girl's got to get away from the trolls somehow.
Well, yeah.
And
well, as you saw,
I bet you she's probably going to trick one of the trolls into getting those shoes on.
the visibility shoes.
No, she's gonna trick one of them into getting the metal shoes on.
Oh yeah, because that's where we left it. She was gonna be put on some.
And then she's gonna put the invisible shoes on to get out of there.
that's the one of the characters wearing the hot iron shoes is too graphic for this, but as you saw at the end, if you remember, we saw the Wolfman traveling along with the
Yeah.
trolls, kind of tracking them and tracking Virginia. So
Yeah, so he'll
he's
be
like on
He's
site.
he's still like
he's
he's
the one
iffy
that's
for me.
doing like a he's the like bad, but he wants to be good. But he's bad, but he wants to be good.
But he's also kind of lost the plot a little bit.
he's very
'Cause
lost because he's
Yeah.
not searching for the dog anymore.
He's totally given
No,
up on that. He's
he's
completely
well,
boner fascinated with Virginia.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, yeah.
like
he unrealistically jumps into a fucking paddle boat standing up and doesn't fall over.
well, yes, it's like it's not
Have you
something
ever
you
jumped
see.
into a paddle boat?
No, I haven't. But we also don't know, like, that could have been sitting on the bank, actually, where it was, like, completely stable, and he knew that he could jump into that. There's Whatever.
doesn't matter.
Whatever. Yeah. It was a little weird to see. It was just like, hey,
This is
he's-
just like that.
He's an agile.
I know enough about
dexterous boy.
those boats to know like any misstep, you're like, whoa.
Capsized. Boom.
Yep.
So that's kind of where like most of them ended,
Yep.
and then the very end of this one was the
Exposition of
evil stepmother
why I'm doing this.
arriving back at her like headquarters where she's like,
She talks to the
But
dog.
the
guy.
dog randomly can talk.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's
well,
got
he's in a human
vocal-
body now.
Yeah,
It's the
human
same thing as the
vocal
dog,
cords.
as Prince Wendell going into the dog. He
I
can
suppose.
bark,
I suppose.
and now it's like it's more of a Freaky Friday kind of thing where their minds were swapped.
Yeah.
You know,
But the dog instinctively knows how to talk, which weirds me out.
It's not like the Shaggy.
out
dog.
of anything you can question in this,
I know.
that's one that
I know.
I
It was
understand what
just
you're saying.
like up to that point, he didn't talk. Like he was just like tongue out. Like
no, he did. Right after he gets turned,
Right after he gets-
the very
that's the
first thing
only
he
time.
says, he's like,
Oh, okay.
"Where's my tail?"
oh, okay, yeah.
That's like the first thing
Yep.
he says
Yeah,
when he
you're
gets in
right.
the new body.
It's
But
probably
then-
just like
and
he
can-
doesn't even know that he's talking.
Can
It's
I
like,
add-
as if he were just thinking in
Human.
his head.
that's
maybe.
the weirdest transformation from man to dog and dog to man.
It was not a good effect.
Well, it was like too the obviously it's like when he's almost a human, they obviously like did some makeup thing, but they kind of paused on that one because it's like we made this makeup thing, so like we kind of have to show it for a little bit before
Yeah,
we
it was
like
actually
some-
transition
It
out
was like
of it.
some Animorph shit.
It's like a ghosty image, and then like you can see the makeup image underneath it,
and then they
like,
merge the
they
two
merge
and like
it.
transition, and
Yeah.
you get like a transition, kind of like transformation of from dog to human, and then the other one goes from human.
I'm
to
kind of
dog, so you
glad
get to
though
see
that
both
they didn't
sides.
just repeat the shot in reverse.
No, it was a different effect.
Yep,
Like,
it
they
was.
definitely went to the effort of like
because they totally
making the
could
two
have done
things-
that.
They easily could have, easily.
Would have been cheap as fuck.
So I know, Eric, you've seen it before.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's been for you.
A while.
But Tyler, you've never seen this before. What did you think for your first taste of this?
It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I always know going in that if I know that it's an episodic, it's gonna take its time in the first episode
Especially since it's mini series like
to
that.
get everybody going, and I knew it was gonna be kind of like laborious to be like, all right, we're meeting these people and trying to get a concept of what their personality is,
Mm-hmm.
and then I won't have a full idea if I like it until I watch maybe like the third episode and be like,
Right.
okay.
like-
Yeah, honestly, the second episode, even like now that it's gotten all the stuff out of the way of like these people, how they got there and how they got into this situation, they're now like deep in it. Like he's in prison, she's been kidnapped. They're deeply involved. It's not like they just arrived and just like got to a town. No, they're in some shit. So second episode is ready to just start going right away.
Yep.
So I really think that you'll be a little more engaged in those ones, and it's odd, but like the total runtime of this, whatever it may be, 6-7 hours ish, it really does go down better as like a whole thing because the story is actually pretty continuous. It's not too serialized.
Well, they should.
Where it's
For these.
yeah, with it being a mini series,
Yeah.
but it does go down really easily, and I think even
So she said.
possibly better as a whole thing to.
Was this directed by one person entirely, or was it each episode broken up into different directors? And
I don't know. Probably the latter,
Okay.
like it usually is, where each episode is directed by a different person, or there is at least some creative variety with who's helming these specific episodes based
exactly.
on
I mean, if you're going through folk tales and things like that, some are scary, some are pleasant. So you want a director maybe that can convey those concepts from those folk tales
Different
to screen.
tones.
But that is actually interesting because bringing up tone, the general tone of this show, where it is willing to be adventurous, and it's probably completely just drowning out what I'm saying. So yeah,
Really
like,
faint.
the tone of this entire thing is like it's willing to be adventurous and maybe get a little bit dangerous, not scary. Nothing in here is scary. Like kids could watch this. But then they also have comedic moments, and they have like a little bit of cartoony sound effects sometimes.
A
And
lot.
there's a little bit of like slapstick to some of the fighting, and it's generally lighthearted, and it is able to keep that throughout the entire thing. There are a couple more moments where it gets like darker, I would say, just because they're going more into the exposition of like I'm going to end the House of White, and it's more like twirly mustache, kind of like backstory
Are we
fantasy
gonna,
stuff.
You don't have to tell me, but I'm just gonna speculate that in other shows that I've seen, somebody, either like a person that's brought into a new world that they're totally alien to, it turns out that they're a distant relative.
They're actually from
them.
there.
They're from
Well,
there, or they have.
If you notice her, because that was the scene we skipped talking about too, the part where she goes to her grandmother's house, and Big Bad Wolf follows her there. Her mom talks about her Virginia's mother's coming out party at the Ritz Carlton, where she said she looked like like regal, all like royal, and
so she, I mean, that is a tropey thing to do, and I point that stuff out because it's something that a lot of people want to see, because it's the fantasy wedding, or it's like the fairy tale ending, like. Well, somehow she's gonna end up with the prince or something.
And the way she was talking about it, she was like, it was like a coronation, like she was a princess.
Yeah,
Like she could have
coronation.
had her pick of any bachelor in New York. Like she was setting her up like this fairy tale princess. So
yeah, that's probably gonna happen in some form, where she's gonna realize that maybe her mother was from there, maybe that
bloodline.
she somehow escaped, and her dad met, like how she had a pick of the bachelors, but she chose
John
John
Larroquette.
Larroquette. There must be something about him that's really appealing.
Maybe it's because he was like an average Joe and not these like regal dudes that she'd been getting pelted with.
Yeah, she just wanted somebody real.
somebody normal
Then
who
there's
has
no
problems
one
and like
realer.
has the
Yeah.
problems to deal with.
And
Then
not
Jay
like,
Larry.
somebody that would be more focused on
He's
you
the
and
realist.
not like themselves,
Yeah.
not a
And
and their
selfish
money
person,
and their like status
Yeah.
and status and
their
like
possessions.
all of the eligible bachelors.
We also have no idea what the fuck happened to her mother, do we?
They said
this
in
point.
that scene that she basically just left. Like she left her father because she couldn't handle it. Like she just left, basically, is what they said.
so that'll probably come into play later on in the show.
Well, the grandmother does say too, like,
She'll come back, you know. She'll just swan right in.
And her sad, like, I used to be something one time, way back when, apartment in Persona.
And
Yeah.
now she's just watching QVC, in
Drinking
bed.
cheap champagne, hanging out with,
her
the fucking,
dog.
with Roland.
Roland the dog. What a good boy, though. There's a
We
lot of
never-
good boys.
Okay.
There's that good boy that was passed out in the hallway from the fucking troll dust.
That was a good boy.
That was a good boy. He didn't move.
Roland
Oh,
disappeared from this. I keep wanting to say the movie, but Roland fucking disappeared. Because think about this. He was in that scene with her and Virginia and the dog on
Yeah.
the bed. Gets booped on the head, knocked out.
Knocked
They
out,
go to
he's
sleep
dead.
the next morning. When Virginia goes in to check on her grandmother, who's the wolf in the bed, Roland's not in there. The grandmother's tied up. We don't see or hear Roland
Oh,
anywhere
where's
in the
Roland
apartment.
at?
It's just like,
Roland!
we don't know. Roland's probably dead. So
yeah, we're gonna keep watching
Keep
more
on
of these.
trucking,
So
dude.
we're gonna have more episodes of
we'll
reel
keep,
to reel on
we'll keep these.
10th Kingdom.
We'll keep these a little short for these.
Yeah, because we got so much.
This will be bigger than any of the other ones we've done.
It's
So,
gonna
That's
be,
what
it's
she
gonna be
said.
quantity here, people.
Yes.
So quality, we'll see.
so give it a watch if you haven't seen it.
Please
Peep it.
do look it up. You might enjoy it.
If you like fractured fairy tales and, like we said earlier, Once Upon a Time, fables, stuff like that,
Yeah,
give it a
and-
shot.
This episode, not only for us, but also the episode that we're recording, might be a little less exciting just because we're having to introduce what this story is and like talk about it in that way.
yeah.
But as we keep going, we, the viewers here, us, Tyler, Eric, and Wilson, will be more excited about it. And
Yeah, this isn't like a normal movie where it's where we
get
got
the
that
whole-
full arc.
Yep.
We're just starting here. We're starting on the hill going up.
And we'll do this maybe for other ones later down.
Yeah,
Like,
we've had discussion of
Even-
doing other
maybe
episodic
even
things rather than
Full series and
yes.
such.
There's one specifically I know that I'd love to do.
and we'll leave it at that, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Adios, everybody.